Well, Mayor George Fuller, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start here. Can you believe it's been 8 years?
It's been a long 8 years. Long 8 years.
Oh, good 8 years?
Yeah. There's some difficulties through them, but yeah, all in all, proud of what we've accomplished.
We're going to cover a few things in this interview. Let's start with the best part about being mayor.
Best part of being mayor is being able to speak to our youth and engage people like that, try to inspire them, try to mentor them.
Okay.
That's been very rewarding.
One burden about being mayor.
Facebook, social media, the platform for people with no real knowledge of anything, just want to be relevant. So they, just sling mud.
Okay. If you could rank your top 3 accomplishments, what would it be?
I think our partnership with the school district, and I say that because how important that is, certainly building City Hall over on the east side to be a catalyst project, and just some of the other large projects that have really turned the tide for McKinney economically.
It's mostly all development.
Yeah, but school partnership's been really important to me.
Okay. What is your biggest regret?
Oh, my biggest regret would have to be we had a council member in the beginning that I wasn't able to help enough, I guess, he could have been such a tremendous impact. Unfortunately, was recalled and left the council, but he could have been such an inspiration for many, many people.
You're talking about Lashadian Shemwell.
I am. Lashadian Shemwell, one of the brightest people you'd meet, just unfortunately didn't have his priorities in the right place. Any
decisions, Facebook posts, you wish you could take back?
I've said a lot of things and I've been aggressive and certainly criticized at times for it. But, I'm always going to be true to who I am. And I believe everyone should be accountable for what they say. And that's myself included. So, no, what I've said and I own it.
Can we run through some of the things
Absolutely.
You've done over 8 years?
Yeah.
Fights for local control,
okay.
Confederate statues, book bans, COVID, ETJs, Councilman Shemwell, US 380, George Floyd,
COVID.
Yeah. What do you think about that list?
Those are all the obstacles and hurdles that we've had over the last 8 years. And yet we've had record growth by every metric. We're the best housing market, number 1 housing market in the country, best places to live list, safest city our size. So I attribute that to an incredible council, but an incredible city staff and police department and fire department and school district. They're great.
It's easy to list out those things in one sentence, but that took a lot of your time, all of that.
That was huge. It was obviously it's a distraction, it's a hurdle, it's a challenge. But I guess you could say it makes all the victories we've had sweeter. If there's a silver lining, if there's such a thing.
Then there are the not so sweet things. How many times have you been sued?
Gosh, I don't know. I've lost count. Every time the city gets sued, mayor is named in those suits. And then I've had some personal lawsuits filed against me. People didn't like the way I handled COVID and whatnot. Of course, dismissed as fast as they were filed. But
how does that make you feel when you got sued?
This may sound hokey, but my compass is true north for me. And if I get sued because I'm doing what I think is the right thing, so be it. Get criticized on Facebook doing the right thing is what it is.
What is different about the George Fuller of 2017 and now?
Wiser. I did not know. I always watch politics and the dirt in politics from afar, being in the middle of it, being under attack for 8 years. You learn that. You see the worst in people and you get to see the best in people. So I guess difference for me is I've seen a lot of the best and I've unfortunately also seen a lot of the worst. So a little more seasoned and a little wiser, I think.
When people talk about your legacy, what do you hope they say?
I hope that they say that he was always purpose driven, and whether you agreed with every decision or not, they believe that I was purpose driven in my decision making, never partisan, never worried about my next election, worried about what did I feel was, what were we trying to accomplish, and made the decision that way. And I hope that's how I'm remembered.
What highlights do you want to highlight?
City Hall again here on the east side, the airport, although there's been some controversy, the airport's going to be a huge economic impact for this community. Yeah. A highlight for me was standing with our school teachers, our school district, when they were under attack, standing shoulder to shoulder when our police were under attack during the Lashadian days and George Floyd. Some people would tell you, I love a fight. I don't walk away from it, and being able to stand with them and experience that, and at least be part of getting to the other side, I'm proud of.
You know, with some of these highlights, we also have some lowlights.
Yeah.
That I'd like to mention. You were sanctioned by the Texas Ethics Commission.
I sure was.
For stumping.
Guilty as charged. Yeah.
For stumping for McKinney ISD candidates.
Yeah, absolutely. I was in a school board joint meeting, and I was giving accolades to the incumbents that were running. And
do you regret that?
What's that?
Do you regret that?
You know, I regret that I didn't put the two dots together, that since I was at school, it was a city resource. So I certainly wouldn't flaunt breaking a rule. I don't regret what I said. Had I known, I would have said it in a different form. But no, guilty as charged. I absolutely did what they said I did, and owned it.
I remember in an interview you did with me several years back, you said, "I'm ashamed of my Republican Party."
Yeah.
Is that a word? Are those words you take back or no?
No, and it's a faction of the Republican Party, and to be fair, I'm ashamed of a faction of the Democratic Party. At the end of the day, you know, people, I'm a Republican, they call me a Democrat liberal, and they think that's some insult, or vice versa. And I've never measured success or character or any of that by partisan party. It's how you handle yourself, what's your character, what's your integrity. So there's Republicans that are just destroying this country, and there's Democrats destroying this country. And I hope for courage from both parties to get back to what we need to do, and that's work together to find solutions.
You've been working hard on the McKinney National Airport.
Yep.
Voters rejected it in a bond.
Yep.
You've been criticized for you stumping for this airport.
Yeah.
What do you tell your critics who say, "Stop, we don't want this"?
Well, I would tell them they're in the minority, because we've done a lot of surveying and polling after, and people are actually in favor of the airport and passenger service. What they voted against, understandably, was $200 million in general obligation debt that stated on the ballot there'd be a tax imposed. Whether that's how it really would happen or not is not the case. But the interpretation was, hey, I make a choice. Do I continue driving to DFW and Love Field, or take on this $200 million debt? And people decided, hey, let's not chance it. But no, I stand behind the airport decisions, every single one of them.
Do you feel that's going to be 20 years down the line, that's going to be an "I told you so" moment?
You know, I hope to be here 20 years down the line. The last 8 years probably took 30 years off my life. But I do believe, here's what I believe. I believe in 5 years, as we have passenger service and we have $1 billion annual economic impact, and people realize the world didn't end. Planes aren't flying over their heads. They don't even realize planes are flying out of that airport any more than they are today. 737s in and out right now today. What they will realize is, man, it's great convenience. My kids fly right here. I fly right out of here when I'm going somewhere. And wow, our entertainment industry, our hospitality industry, our businesses are booming, and they'll be glad. And by the way, those same critics, I'll be passing them in the terminal, I'm sure.
I wanted to ask you, as I understand, construction on that airport expansion starts this month.
Yes, it does.
Can you tell me, this is beyond what we're doing here, but what's being done, and are you excited about that?
So a lot of infrastructure on the east side that's needed for development, period, general aviation, everything else, but also the passenger terminal building. And it's a proof of concept terminal, if you will. It will be converted at some point for another use, and a larger terminal will most probably be built. But that all starts this coming month.
What does that work entail? Do you know?
It's about $63 million worth of work. And then there's some offsite roads that take that total up to about $90 million. But it's going to unlock the east side, not just the airport, but thousands of acres on the east side of the airport for development and construction.
Can I show you a video?
Yep.
They have the right to build their home in the case of the stalkers, for example. And that's a right that we need to preserve. McKinney Mayor George Fuller is speaking on the topic.
Do you recognize that person?
The day the council voted to relax permitting rules and let people build again.
I feel that the stalkers have.
Did you see yourself?
Yeah.
McKinney Mayor to build their home in the case of the stalkers.
Do you recognize that person?
No. He's younger and he's heavier.
McKinney Mayor George Fuller is speaking on the topic for the first time. The day the
Yeah, a little less darker hair.
A little less dark.
Yeah, you've got a good seasoning to your hair now.
Well, they call it chrome, I'm told. When I go get a haircut, my barber says, "Hey, you got more chrome in your hair." So
let's do some quick hitters.
Yep.
Okay. Fast responses. What do you now have more time for?
music, family, friends.
Worst thing you've been called?
Corrupt.
Your proudest accomplishment?
Alliance with school district and standing with our police and teachers.
A meeting you'll never take again?
The one with 50 protesters in front of my house with AR-15s and bullhorns. It was a little dangerous.
If you could put a number on the number of people you'll never want to speak to again, could you count out on your hand? Dozens, hundreds?
I could name them. There's about 12 of them. And what they have to say isn't worth listening to, in my opinion, as they just spew a lot of baseless rhetoric against a lot of people.
Which song would you walk out of City Hall to?
The Rocky theme, of course.
Okay. The biggest threat to McKinney?
State legislation, annexation, next 45 square miles being developed without paying property taxes and us carrying that burden.
The next mayor of McKinney will need to be
someone willing to carry on that fight. We got to change it, or this city is going to be in big trouble in 20 years.
And I got to ask this question. Do you have your sights set on running for higher office?
You know, I've been approached on a number of offices, and I'm considering running for something else. Haven't made up my mind yet.
Thank you, Mayor Fuller.
Thanks.
Thank you for your 8 years. And thanks for talking with us.
Hey, man, I've always appreciated you guys. Thank you. Thanks, Jobin.